18th of July, Chapter 24, The Flight in the Heather, The Quarrel. Alan and I were put across Lake ERROCHT under cloud of night and went down its eastern shore to another hiding place near the head of LOCH, where we were led to by one of the gillies from the cage. This fellow carried all our luggage, and Alan's great coat in the bargain, trotting along under the burden, far less than half of which used to weigh me to the ground, like a stout hill pony with a feather. Yet he was a man that in plain contest I could have broken on my knee. Doubtless it was a great relief to walk disencumbered, and perhaps without that relief and the consequent sense of liberty and lightness, I could not have walked at all. I was but new risen from a bed of sickness, and there was nothing in the state of our affairs to hearten me for much exertion, travelling as we did over the most dismal deserts in Scotland, under a cloudy heaven, and with divided hearts among the travellers. For long we said nothing, marching alongside or one behind the other, each with a set countenance, I angry and proud, and drawing what strength I had from these two violent and sinful feelings. Alan, angry and ashamed that he had lost my money, angry that I should take it ill. The thought of a separation ran always the stronger in my mind, and the more I approved of it, the more ashamed I grew of my approval. It would be a fine, handsome, generous thing indeed, for Alan to turn around and say to me, "Go, I am in the most danger, and my company only increases yours." But for me to turn to a friend who certainly loved me, and say to him, "You are in great danger, I am in but little. Your friendship is a burden. Go, take your risks, and bear your hardships alone." No, that was impossible, and even to think of it privily to myself made my cheeks burn. And yet Alan had behaved like a child, and, what is worse, a treacherous child. Wheedling my money from me while I lay half-conscious was scarcely better than theft, and yet here he was trudging by my side without a penny to his name, and by what I could see, quite blithe to sponge upon the money he had driven me to beg. True, I was ready to share it with him, but it made me rage to see him count upon my readiness. These were the two things uppermost in my mind, and I could open my mouth upon neither without black ungenerosity. So I did the next worst, and said nothing, nor so much as looked once at my companion, save with the tail of my eye. At last, upon the other side of LOCH ERROCHT, going over to a smooth, rushy place where the walking was easy, he could bear it no longer and came close to me. "David," says he, "this is no way for two friends to take a small accident. I have to say that I'm sorry, and so that's said. And now if you have anything, you'd better say it." "Oh," says I have nothing." He seemed disconcerted, at which I was meanly pleased. "No?" said he with a rather trembling voice. But when I say I was to blame..." "Why, of course you were to blame," I said coolly. "And you will bear me out that I have never reproached you." "Never," he said. "But you know well that you've done worse. Are we to part? You said so once before, and are you to say it again? There's hills and heather enough between here and the two seas, David, and I will own that I'm no very keen to stay where I'm no wanted." This pierced me like a sword, and seemed to lay bare my private disloyalty. "Alan Breck!" I cried, and then, "Do you think I'm one to turn my back on you in your chief need? You daren't say it to my face. The whole conduct's there to give a lie to it. It's true, I fell asleep upon the moor, but that was from weariness, and you do wrong to cast it up to me." "Which is what I never did," said Alan. "But aside from that," I continued, "what have you done that you should even me to dogs for such a supposition? I never yet failed a friend, and it's not likely I'll begin with you. There are things between us that I can never forget, even if you can." "I will only say this to you, David," said Alan very quietly, "that I have long been owing you my life, and now I owe you money. You should try and make that burden light for me." This ought to have touched me, and in a manner it did, but the wrong manner. I felt I was behaving badly, and now was not only angry with Alan, but angry with myself into the bargain, and it made me even more cruel. "You asked me to speak," said I. "Well, then I will. You own yourself that you have done me a disservice. I have had to swallow an affront, I have never reproached you. I have never named the thing you did. And now you blame me, cried I, because I can't sing and laugh as if I was glad to be affronted. The next thing will be that I'm to go down on my knees and thank you for it. You should think more of others, Alan Breck. If you thought more of others, you'd perhaps speak less about yourself. And when a friend that likes you very well has passed over an offence without a word, you would be blithe to let it lie, instead of making it a stick to break his back with. By your own way of it, it was you that was to blame. Then it shouldn't be you to seek the quarrel. All right, said Alan, say no more. And we fell back into our former silence, and came to our journey's end, and supped, and lay down to sleep, without another word.
Great to be read to. It's just really lovely.
Probably doesn't happen very often at your age.
No, it doesn't. I wish it did more.